Hi there. Welcome to the meetup. My name is Laura, and we're just going to give everyone a minute to join. And hi, Marta. You're from London, so it's kind of early morning for you. And you're saying you're learning Python to become a data scientist. Cool. Is there anything that inspired you? Just to let you know, also this session is being recorded. Okay, so you're saying you were in a previous meeting and it kind of inspired you. Yeah, good. Do you have any idea of what industry you're looking at? Or is it just a sort of, in general, that's a field that you're interested in? Yeah, generally that's fine. Okay. Okay, we're just going to give it a few more seconds and then I will get started. And cleaning data is definitely useful in data science. So that's a good start. Good to have you here. All right, we might as well just get cracking. I'll try and keep an eye on the comments during the presentation. So there we go. Just to introduce, my name's Laura and this is the Python Club, and we'll be looking at cleaning and tidying a very messy data set. And the background is I wanted to challenge myself to find the messiest data set that I could find. And I think I found a really, really messy one, and just sort of try all the techniques that I learned on Codecademy and see how I would fare. So just in general, this is about things that you can do. It's not meant to be a prescription. So it's basically to open your eyes to the possibilities of what you can do in terms of cleaning and tidying and wrangling data. Now, just to give you a overview what we're doing today. So there will be introductions first. Then there will be a brief presentation of what we'll be looking at. So we'll be looking at a before and after. There will be some exploratory data analysis and then some cleaning and some tidying. It's a short meetup today. I'm estimating it'll take around 30 minutes. And let's jump right in. Okay. Oui. All right, so my name is Laura. I've been hosting meetups on Codecademy since 2021. And to begin with, I would like to know what was the most interesting or surprising bit about Python or coding that you learned last week. For me personally, something that I learned was something about keyword arguments in default arguments, and what is called Python gotcha, apparently. So that was a new thing. And let me have a look at the chat. Okay. Was there anything that you found interesting that you learned this week, Marta?
I just unmute on myself because I think we are just me and you.
Yeah.
So wait a second. Hello. It's just me and you, and doesn't make any sense. So the things that I learned last week was the how you call it. I forgot. The lambda function.
That is very interesting.
The small function is like, I understand because they are easy, but I don't understand completely.
I think it's one of these things where you think it's easy, you understand it, and then when you actually apply it, it's a different matter altogether.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. All right, moving on. Fine. Right. Oof. All right, so just to introduce what we're looking at, so we have this slightly messy data frame, and then at the end of the session, it'll look like this. just as a
Beautiful.
little preview like that. Yeah, don't have to spend too much time on that. And basically what we're looking at is we're looking at a bit of exploration using head, using info, describe. We're looking at the length, we're looking at the data types, and we're looking at missing data. And then some things we'll be looking at is renaming columns, dropping data, merging columns. Also going to be removing irrelevant data, irrelevant characters. We will reassign values into correct columns, and we will look at duplicates as well as missing data in general. Okay, so that's basically it. And I'm just going to share my screen and the notebook that I've got in VS Code. So it won't be a second. All right, there you go. How's that? Is that too small? Is that too little? I can zoom in or zoom out a little bit.
Can you zoom a little bit?
Yeah. Let's do that. Let me maybe
Yeah.
switch
Better.
that as well. Maybe that's, yeah. All right, let's do that. Okay. So yeah, so in the beginning, all that I did is I just read in pandas, which is a Python library, and then also a little library to display images. And then this actually is in the event description as well. So it's a Kaggle data set, and it's called Amazon Book Reviews. And as it turned out, this was actually not about books. We're going to look at that in a second. It's very messy. And then what Codecademy told me is that apparently 80% of your time working with data might be spent on cleaning and manipulating it, and then 20% is spent analyzing it or building it. And just a small little bit about my own background. So I'm actually in marketing, and from my perspective, I can actually confirm that. So we don't go super hard on the data analytics, but I do some of it. So we do have our own little dashboard, if you will, and most of the times actually spend downloading different data and sort of manipulating it, and then a very short amount of time is actually spent on analyzing it. That is true from my perspective. And just to have a little definition of terms, so tidy data refers to each variable being in a separate column, and then each row has a separate observation in it. And then, one thing you can do, if you just download the file, you can just read it in using pandas. Yeah. Are you trying to say something?
No, I did already. But I mean,
Yeah,
you
you
will
did.
be more faster than me. So I will reread the registration.
All right.
You go ahead.
Okay, so basically what you do is you read it in, and then you just use head to inspect the first 5 rows. And by default, head just refers to the first 5 rows in your data frame. And then if you specify an amount of rows, then it'll just show you that number. If we have a look here, so we'll have a reviewer ID here, but it's kind of really weirdly messed up as well. Then we have a reviewer name. We have, I don't know, some kind of, this one here actually says reviewer name, so it's kind of incorrect. And it seems to be more about rating. And then up here we have some kind of review text. And then we have more review text over here. And then we have a third column. And for some reason, it's all in 3 different columns. It's very weird. And then it talks about oily and creamy. So it's definitely not about books. I'm not sure how the person scraped the data. And that's also my eventual conclusion, that if somebody brought me this data frame, I would probably ask them to redo it. But, it's good practice. It's kind of fun to just look at it and try to work it into something else. It has some rating up here. has a summary up here, sort of a final conclusion. It has some time that the review was submitted, and then for some reason that also stretches out over here. Then it kind of looks like maybe it's a month, and then over here we have maybe a review year. So it's just really it's just a big mess, to be honest. So let's see how we proceed here. And here's just a little side note as well that I found out at a later stage. So you can, if you don't want to have too many files knocking around on your computer, what you can do is you can actually download it directly from Kaggle. And I've just added here as a comment. So same as up there, you would import pandas first. You would import CSV, which helps you import data as a raw data file. Somebody trying to talk? Hello? Hi there. Yeah. It's a little bit noisy. Yeah, that's good. All right. Sorry, can you just mute your mic a little bit? It sounds a bit like you're in a train station of sorts. Hello. I'm just going to mute you for a second. It's very noisy for me, okay? One second. There you go. Oh, that's better. Okay. Now, okay, and you import OS, which kind of has operating system functionality. Then you import open data sets. And basically what that does is it helps you download data sets. And then you have the URL, you download it, you create a directory, you look at your files in that directory, and then through that you can actually read in your data set as a CSV. If you don't want to have a file on your computer, that's also an option. It's just a little bit more wordy, if you will. So let's say you've done that and you just want to kind of have a summary of your data frame, and then you use your data frame and the info method, and what it, as you can see, as what it kind of comes back with is a lot of mishmash. And you can use describe, and what describe does is it offers you a count, it offers you unique values. If you have very numerical data sets, it offers you top or sort of the most frequently seen value, the frequency, that kind of thing. If you want to know how many rows your data frame actually has, you can do that as well using length. And this one has over 120,000. If you want to know more about your data types, you can use the dtypes method. And at the moment, everything is actually strings. Yeah, they're all objects. And then if you want to find out about missing data, you can also do that, and you can sum that up. And again, yeah, that's what it returns basically. Okay, so it's just it's a little bit too messy to work with, to be honest. But let's just kind of keep going with it. And at the moment, if you look at the data frame, what I found really disconcerting was there were no column headers. So what I did is I added column names, and you say df to columns, and then you just define all your columns just to kind of have a general feel of what you're actually doing. And yeah, that's what it does. So it's got an ID, done that. And then the next thing is looking at the columns. I found that actually I did not need all of them. So by doing that, you can set your data frame equal to the data frame and those columns, only those that you want, and everything else is going to be dropped as a result. Okay, so it's already looking a little bit more organized, if you will. Let me just check if there's any notes in the chat. Oh, the person's left. Okay, good, that's fine. And then something also that I found was there were so many review columns that I didn't need. So I just said, okay, I want to have one column called review, and then I just combine these. And again, I set my data frame equal to that new column plus the other ones that I had before, and already it's looking a little bit more organized at this point. I have an ID, I have a name, I have the actual review, I have a rating, I have a summary, I have a time, I have a day, maybe, and I have a year, maybe. Okay. And then I was getting a little bit overwhelmed at this point because it was just each column, each row was almost kind of different. So I couldn't just use regular expressions for all of them. I went column by column because it was just getting a little bit too much. So I split, for example, so let's say we have the ID column here. I split that on the colon. Then I take the first, well, let's have a look here. Let's have a look. So we split that on the column and we count 0, 1, and we only want this part basically. And then once we do that, we basically get this ID in the end. So that's a very simple and easy way to get the idea like that. And then, yeah, we kind of keep doing that column by column. So again, we look at the name, we split on the colon, and we take the second section. Yeah, so we split on column. So all this whole reviewer name, we don't need that. And we get this part here, basically. Then we go down here. This Jessica H up here, she becomes Jessica H here. And that's already looking a lot more tidy as well. Then for the review, same thing. We split on the colon. And yeah, this palette was a decent blub, blub, blub. And we go down. This palette was a decent price. Okay. Yeah, it's already looking more organized. And then same thing for the ratings. It's, yeah, for some reason it mixes text and numbers, which is a bit weird, but better than before. And then again, for the summary, we do the same thing. And then also it looks a little bit better than before, but for some reason it looks like maybe the numbers have gotten mixed up into the summary as well. And then, so this part here, yeah, I basically take out the review time in some of them. Yeah, okay. And then one thing I noted is some things couldn't actually be, yeah, assigned through regex, through irregular expressions. So I had to do it manually, which is something, I mean, you can do it. So you use iLook for that one, but personally, I wouldn't recommend it, to be honest. But it's just for you to be aware it is an option. So you can manually assign data by using iLook, by using row number 1, and then manually assigning a value like that. So that is an option. Okay. Okay. The next thing I wanted to do is I wanted to get rid of duplicates and mark not a number, NaN, as missing values. Okay. So I also wanted to see what the duplicated rows actually looked like. They look like that. And I decided to drop them like so. And then looking at the head again, looks like that now. And I also wanted to fill all the rows that said not a number. I wanted to fill them with a default value called missing data. And now I've got that here as well. Okay, so now it actually tells me, okay, we've got data missing. That's why we cannot display it. Yeah, so that's basically it. So these are just a couple of things that you can do. It's not all a must. Okay, but for me personally, just looking at it, I would probably re-scrape the data. I think the person who made the data frame was maybe scraping the data in a really weird way. Maybe you can consider writing a number of custom functions. Maybe you want to work on it manually for cleanup. And maybe another thing you could do once you've done all that, maybe you can even visualize your data. Maybe you could look into qualitative analysis if you look into reviews. So these are all things that you can do with your data set going forward. Yeah, let me just quickly check in. But I feel like it was just a lot of stuff. And I'm not sure how much you're familiar with. Is there anything you would like me to go back to?
So I just at the beginning, but
Mm-hmm.
I know some of them and the others
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any clue. But I
Mm-hmm.
was like, this is a very messy data set.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how many rows there are over there, but it seems to be very big. But you need to
Right.
do for all of them, like because they are not the same. Sometimes they are
Mm-hmm.
put it in a good way. Sometimes they are split in more
Mm-hmm.
rows, actually more columns. So you should go for all of them.
I mean, ideally, yes, but
Well,
as I noted, personally, I would redo the whole data set. If if somebody presented me a data set like that, I would be like, no, 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 let's not do that. That would be
okay.
it's just more or less impossible to work with. It's just more to practice to kind of see what you can get out of it. Even though it's extremely messy, it's such a pain. What can you do with it? Can you somehow salvage it? But personally, I wouldn't work with this one, to be honest, in a professional setting.
Okay, okay, I see. Wow.
Do you want to go back to any of the functions or any of the methods that you are not familiar with?
Yes, please.
Yeah, let's go back. Let
Go
me
up a
just
little
stop.
bit. Now I lost it.
No worries. Let's go back. Okay. So we read in the data frame, and yeah, are
Yeah,
you
this
familiar
is
with the head methods?
yes, this
Yeah.
one, yes.
Okay. All right. What about info?
Yes, as well.
All righty. What about describe?
As well. This told
Yep.
me that I mean, yeah, this one are there are more text than number, but yes.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
remember when I was number, it said the minimum, the maximum, so it was better. I was like, aha,
Right.
thank you.
Yeah, that's true. I think it even has like things like standard deviation, right? Things like that.
Yes, yes,
Yeah. The quartiles, like top 25, 50, 75.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Right. Yeah. What about the length?
Yes, as well.
Yep. The data types.
Yes, but I
Yeah.
was like, why say object? Because it's a text or is a mix of text?
Yeah. So I think, if I remember correctly, if it's a string, it tells you object, and then if it's a number, it'll tell you either int for integer or float for float
Okay,
point number, or
okay,
boolean for boolean
of
values.
course.
Yeah. Okay. What about is an a or some?
If I don't remember wrong, is an A is for the not applicable data where there is
I think it's just
missing data.
yeah, that's the
Yeah,
one.
okay,
That's the
and
one.
then you do the sum. But why say in 64 instead of how many lines do I have?
I think it's just saying it's returning this row kind of what I wanted to do is I wanted to find out the amount. Let's just do it without the sum. Let's see what happens. Sorry. So basically what is the missing data basically? There you go.
Okay,
And then it's returning, okay, does it have data missing or not?
okay.
And then because the thing is we've already cleaned it. So I
Ah,
think it's kind of
yes.
going back to the clean data frame. So it's saying, oh, we don't actually have data missing. It's false. That's why it looks like that now.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So this is just setting the column names as these ones. You're basically just naming the top columns. Yep. Okay. And then and this is basically if you want to drop them, you can just set them equal to these column names. There's nothing, again, nothing special. So if if you set the data frame equal to this data frame with the columns, then it'll only keep the columns that you specify in the brackets, and everything else will be dropped.
Drop away, yeah.
Okay. I mean, this one's just simple concatenation where you combine each column. You just use a plus sign and you combine that into one new column.
Yep.
It's not too fancy. Okay. What about the split part? Shall we go over that one?
I know splits, but I not remember all the things. So like get one. You get what?
So basically what it does is, so you're looking at the data frame, you're looking at the ID column, and you want to split the string on this sign, on this colon. Yeah. So let's have a look. So here we have the ID, and this whole part with reviewer ID, I don't really need it. I only want this ID here. So I say split it on this one, and what it does is it creates 2 bits. So bit number 1, reviewer ID, and bit number, this one here, the second part, this A3, blah, blah, blah. That's the second part. But because Python starts counting from 0, this is 0, and this is 1. And I'm only interested in this one. I want to get this one here.
Yeah.
And then what I do is I also don't need the brackets. Like I want to replace those brackets with, if there is a bracket, I want to replace it with nothing. And I want to apply it as a regular expression.
Yep.
And then what it does is, so we go from this part where we have this really weird long thing with reviewer ID in the front, and we go to this part.
Yep. Much easier like this. Much readable. You can do something.
And that's basically what I did with all these other columns. So I just I split on the colon. I remove this reviewer name or review text. I remove it, and then I just want to get the part that's coming after that.
Yep.
All the same principle. But again, for me, I found it a bit overwhelming, so I had to go column by column. There's probably a way of doing it better. There's probably a way to, maybe write a custom function and then just apply that function to each column. But you know, like I mentioned, I work in marketing. I'm not a professional either. I kind of have to go one by one. Otherwise, it gets too much for me. And also to kind of see what is actually happening. Like, is each change, is it being applied correctly?
Exactly. Because could work for the first 5, but maybe there is something wrong in the last, in 2 others, but you don't know. I mean, you need to check all of them. It's impossible.
I mean, in a way, you could maybe argue it makes it easier to debug, because you can really go column by column, and if there's something wrong in one of the columns, then you can get to the better, I guess. So basically, I do that. So I split it. I get what I want, and then I remove all the bits that I don't want. Okay. Okay. And again, this one here as well, I want to replace this review time, whatever that is, and I want to replace it with nothing. So I'm basically removing all the stuff that I don't need from the time column. Yeah. But for these ones, I'm not actually splitting. I'm just removing stuff that I don't need. But I don't need to split anymore. And then this one here, I was thinking, okay, maybe do I want to go manually? So this is just an option. And what it does is, so you're saying data frame, and you're going into row number 1, and you're going into the year column, and you then say, okay, I want that value to be 2013. But I mean, it's a very fiddly way of going about it. So I kind of gave up after like 3 rows, because I was I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. It's just an option if you have something and you want to manually manipulate it in Python without having a Google Sheet. Yeah. So the next thing we do is to look at duplicates. And this uses the duplicated function. And I just wanted to see, okay, what are these rows actually like? Okay. And it gives me all the duplicates. And yeah, I mean, there's nothing really in those rows to be used, to be honest. There's no summary, there's nothing really. Yeah, so I'm quite comfortable just dropping them using the drop duplicates method. And we can maybe check like how many rows do we have at this point. Sorry, let's see. Let's just run that for a sec. 12640. How many did we have in the beginning? Let's have a look. Okay, so in the beginning we had 120,754, and then later on we have, let's see. Okay, we dropped about maybe a little over 100 rows. Yeah. Okay. Hello. Let me just quickly check chat. Hello, Sam. You're right. Yeah, and then if I actually want to signify that I know that data is missing, you can use this fill NA method up here, and all the rows where you have data missing, it says whatever you put in the columns, in the brackets afterwards. So in this case, it says missing data, okay, and it says missing data here. And then if I look at it again, it looks like that. And yeah, I mean, if we just look at it, it seems a lot more readable, a little more legible. It's still not brilliant though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. If you're okay, I would just be looking at wrapping up. Or is there anything else you wanted to talk about? Is there maybe a data set that you're looking at exploring yourself?
No, really. Not at the moment.
Maybe for a project, maybe for your portfolio. Something to consider. Yeah. Okay. Well, in that case, I would just say, well, thanks for joining. Thanks for your time. And I hope you have a lovely weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Take care. Bye-bye, Sam.
All right. Thank you. Bye.